Welcome to the Progression of Species podcast. My name's Lyndon Anlizak, and in this episode, we're going to concentrate on buffaloes, or the Asiatic water buffalo, introduced to Australia by settlers in the 1800s in the Northern Territory, let go, and then bred up to maybe several 100,000. And then I remember back on cattle stations, the BTEC program under the disease eradication banner was introduced. I think it was sort of early 80s-ish. And a shooting program and mustering program is introduced there to try and reduce numbers. Depends on who you believe. Potentially still over 100, 150,000 buffaloes throughout the north. And you have to remember, this is a huge, huge landscape, all right? And it costs billions to try and remove these animals. They do destroy waterways and ecosystems, especially floodplains where they wallow there and destroy that whole area and even change tidal zones. So they are a pest, and there is a live export industry or buffalo processing industry as well with meatworks, but it's hard to do. Like, it's a hard job to wrangle a buffalo. All right, you might see some online clips in that area. My earliest memories are big, strong, powerful, tough buffaloes, and chasing them with Dad in a bull cage. They usually were getting shot back in the day, and then also, I remember when we were kids on a cattle station, one charged through a barbed wire fence, and we were on bikes or onto a foot, and running and riding back to home base up the airstrip to tell Dad, and he shot that one, and then the whole community ended up having buffalo on the menu for the whole week. So they're my earliest memories. So they're always a big, powerful animal, and up to 1 ton in weight, and horns of a metre out each side, sometimes really big ones. And every now and then we do see them tour guiding as well. I remember I have to do a safety check tour guiding. Like, some people don't do it, but I do. With the toilet area, we have to send people out in the outback to toilets, so a little bit of a covered area, and then one in hundreds of trips, do the walk, and then a buffalo stands up, and I thought, my God, imagine if I sent a tourist there with a roll of toilet paper and charged, and their tourist running past me, and then all of a sudden a buffalo after that. Would have been an interesting time. But yes, be safe around buffaloes if you are a tourist, okay? Very careful driving after sort of 3 p.m. in the outback. If you have a 300-kilometre drive, they're usually all 300 k's one way for us. Once you start getting late in the arvo and into night, it's fairly deadly. Even if you're only doing 80 k's an hour, they might just run right out in front of you. You won't see it. So there's a big 1-ton animal can do a lot of damage, okay? And you see trucks, semi-trailers hit these buffaloes on some of these highways, and just, oof, that's all bad. You wouldn't want to hit it in a small sedan, and stay in your car if you're a tourist, all right? Australian, don't try any Crocodile Dundee hand-waving movements to try and tame a buffalo, please. I don't recommend that. Remember Dad telling us stories on cattle stations where locals would put up a tree by a buffalo, and the buffalo hung around for a day or two. So there's always a funny buffalo story anywhere you go, but there's also a dangerous one as well, okay? And even crocodiles take buffaloes, so that's how aggressive crocodiles are, seriously, to take on a big beast like that. I think I should have a clip on Carhill's Crossing on my social media. I might load one up to the Lyndon Anlizak one on YouTube, where I do a lot more in personal development there, just for a bit of outback footage to give you a bit of a break. But they're cool beasts. Like, they're cool beasts in their own right, but they are pests in Australia. I just thought I'd let you know there, okay? Look, they are good eating in Kakadu. I donate a lot of barramundi to the Aboriginal festivals through the year, and the ground oven cook-ups with the Hunter family or the Christophersons there. They might have a ground oven buffalo, and like a good buffalo tastes really good, ground oven buffalo, okay? But an old, chewy one is not the best in the world, so you make sure you pick your beast if you can. Yeah, I've seen some funny stuff. I remember I was driving between Cooinda and Kakadu, and some backpackers had this buffalo going across the road, and I thought they were going to get in the way, but they had a small car, and I thought, this is not going to end well, but it ended up crossing without taking the car out, and I thought that'd be a good one to explain to the car rental place. Oh, we got hit by a buffalo. Classic. At least they stayed in the car. And it's funny because at certain times of the year, the buffaloes walk down the main road in Kakadu for kilometres and then cross 3 bridges each season. I think it's the same one, almost to the day. I remember a year apart, I filmed it. And they'll swim on the side, but then jump up on the bridge. And I had a couple of friends that were on the bridge following this buffalo. It was a funny moment to see a buffalo walking down. But it's an interesting one because the big crocodiles through there too. So you'd imagine there must have been a lot of tussles back in the day for buffaloes. And and crocodiles. I remember Dad telling me one from way out in the cattle stations, I think in the 1960s or 70s, that big crocodile grabbed a buffalo by the head. The buffalo just jumped right straight over the crocodile and got away. Yeah, big ones. There would have been an interesting tussle. And I remember naturalist Ian Morris on tour with us once out in Arnhem Land. He said, I think they were in a boat going up maybe the East Alligator River back in the day, or a billabong. It came around a corner and there was a standoff. Must have been one for a while, with a buffalo staring at a crocodile, and it just kept moving, and the crocodile wasn't quite game to take it. Big crocodile, 5 meters. And the boat distracted the buffalo. Buffalo turned its head, and that's all the crocodile needed. And it went whack, got it and rolled it, hit it in its neck. Incredible. Would have been amazing to see, like just to have that vision in your head. Yeah, so crocodiles, buffaloes, very, very dangerous. But they sort of make the outback as well. I think it's Charlie, the buffalo that was in Crocodile Dundee. I think he's stuffed now in Adelaide River Tavern. You can take a photo there with him, I think, still. Yes, real characters. But don't try any of the buffalo taming, hand signals type of stuff. If you see one, stay away. When I film buffaloes, like I've had one charge me from over 100 meters away. Yeah, real wild thing. He just didn't want me anywhere near him. Yeah, so some can be fairly temperamental, and then others film them from across the road. I don't recommend that. I'll always have the car next to me or in front of me. Then if I can, I'll film out the window. But I've been growing up in the bush, and I watch these buffaloes, and I always try and have the car closer to me than the buffalo. And if I need to leave my camera gear, the camera gear is going to be left behind, and my personal safety is more important. And if you're ever stuck somewhere, get up a nice big tree if you can climb it, and keep an eye out. When you are walking, a tip is to smell. You can smell like urine smell with buffaloes, that type of smell. And also to be making noise. You don't want to frighten a buffalo and just sneak up on it so it jumps up and gets a bit frazzled, because it'll be fight or flight, and a lot of times it'll be charge. Okay, there it is. Buffaloes, classic. They make the NT in one way. It's still wild. Huge, wide open spaces, very, very hard to remove them all, just like pigs. They're feral animals and need to remove them. They're a part of the Northern Territory. Just be careful when you're driving, okay, and drive slow, and try not to drive at night up there, and be very, very wary of your journeys and trips, and no buffalo taming if you can. And if you're going to film them, probably stay in the car. But that's part one of buffaloes, a few stories. They always make a day when you are tour guiding, because people are infatuated by big, wild animals. And they can often be seen in the cooler parts of the day in the morning, and they might be held up under trees in the day or in swamps, okay? So just be careful when you are walking up sort of the edges of river systems with that one. And if you ever were able to see a crocodile attacking a buffalo, it'd be a hell of a moment, because it's not always that common. But just realise too, though, that they can be big, wild, dangerous animals, so give them the respect they need. And if you are interested in more wild animals shows on the podcast, please let me know. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. And if you are travelling up through the north, try and get up to see Queensland, North Queensland, Northern Territory and Western Australia. You might see some buffaloes through those regions. Not sure how far over across to WA they are now, but there's still a fair few in the Northern Territory. And there is a little bit of an industry going for them, for mustering and for beef, maybe even for pet food, I would say. But in general too, they do wreck ecosystems. So in places like Kakadu National Park, they prefer to keep the buffaloes well away from the floodplains. And since they have taken a lot of them out, the floodplains have made a fantastic recovery.